coming to you from Australia, where we have two UFC champions. Oh my goodness. I was saying, I just did like a little Instagram recap, and I do remember, I think it was about a year ago, where Australia was in a really dark place when it came to the UFC. I genuinely didn't believe that we would have any champions for a very long time, and here we are with two just about a year later. So I am very, very happy. And I was really nervous for JDM going into this. I'll break down the whole card, but just at the top of my head, it's exciting stuff, guys. But what have I got here? UFC 315. We'll start at the top. Benoit Saint Denis going up against Carl Prepelec, who stepped in on short notice. God bless him. God bless him. The odds were not good. And not to say that I bet on him, but the lead up of it was very, very sweet. Watching him at the press conference, being in Canada, it was very, very sweet. Shout out for him for making it past the first round. I'm not really sure what this does for Benoit, to be honest. He's in a bit of a weird spot right now. But yeah, not much to say about that one. A win for Benoit, but not a very strong one. Despite getting a very good finish, it was against someone that, wasn't even in the UFC, really. Controversial. Grasso vs. Silva. Now, Grasso vs. Silva was the matchup that I was most nervous about. On paper, I was fixed on all of my picks except for this one, and it's the one that I got wrong. Ugh! I got 4 out of 5 on my picks, and that's really annoying because this was the one that I was stuck on, and I just chose to go against the odds because I like to do that. But this time it bit me in the butt. I would have gone 5 for 5. I was most hesitant going into this just because I know that Natalya was really good, both on the feet, on the ground, just very dominant, on a very good win streak at the moment. But I like Alexa, and hindsight's always 20/20, isn't it? The fights that she had with Valentina, she won the first one where Valentina says that she knew she was being silly. Draw the second one, which I do believe that Valentina won. Lost the next one after that. So I think I was just hoping that she'd be a bit more, I guess, dominant and a bit more hungry in this. But yeah, hindsight, I guess I knew that Natalya won, which is pretty interesting because I think that that's a really good title contender and matchup for Valentina. I'll talk about it during Valentina's fight, but I think Natalya stands to be a really good competition for Valentina, and at the top of my head, I think Silva's got it. I love Valentina as well. I want to get her fight kit when I'm in Vegas for International Fight Week. I loved it, and I love her, but Natalya's good. Aldo Zahabi. That was rough. That was rough to see Aldo go out like that. I actually did have the first 2 rounds going to Aldo, but I guess the damage was done in that 3rd round. So not only was it rough to see him go out in that way, getting beaten up like that, but it was a pretty weird one for Zahabi as well, just because he was in his home country beating up a 37-year-old. Like, is that really what you want to be doing up against a legend like that? Decision-wise, I guess you favor that last round and damage a lot stronger than you have those first 2 rounds. I thought Aldo looked great. I got nervous. I had Zahabi on my list to win, but obviously I'm an Aldo fan as well and always going to support him. But I guess he got gassed out. Pretty interesting lead up too, with having a weight class change. It was originally meant to be at bantamweight 135, got moved up to featherweight 145 because during the weight cut, Aldo has released a statement since and just said that his mind told him that he didn't need to do this anymore. So I'm not sure if he came into it where his head was at when he stepped into the cage. I guess the way he got welcomed back into the UFC was pretty rough as well. Like, here's the thing. Before he went off on his boxing thing, he was going up against guys like Chito Vera, Rob Font, Marab. These are known names within the UFC. Went and did his boxing stint, UFC probably weren't happy with that, comes back, fights Martinez, Bautista, and Zahabi. Like, what? Doesn't get a tape when he retires as well. It's a pretty interesting scenario for him, and I'm not sure I'd be very happy if I was with Aldo, with, again, the legend that he is, the longest reigning featherweight champ, I want to say, if you include his time in the WEC. And to go out in the way that he did, it wasn't ideal. And I think fans will always love and respect him. But, you know, when you have fighters like Michelle Waterson Gomez and I think Carla Esparza got a fight montage thing for their retirement, and then guys like Stipe and Jose Aldo don't. That's pretty rough. It was the decision for that fight that made me nervous for the main event going into a decision as well. Because again, I had the first 2 rounds to Aldo, last round to Zahabi, so I thought Aldo was going to win, but they gave it to Zahabi, and I was like, oh God. When I saw that JDM and Belal were going into a decision, I was like, oh God. But luckily that didn't happen. So, co-main event, Shevchenko and Fiorot. Now, Valentina, girl, you gotta do more. I understand, like, with the last Grasso fight that she had, she's like, I gotta leave no doubt. And it's like, yeah, girl, like, leave no doubt by getting a finish. Again, it's the same with Balal. They have their style and they're good at it. Same with Merab, but it's just not the most exciting. At least Merab makes it exciting in a way that's cheeky. A lot of people will find it disrespectful, but like, it's entertaining, right? It's a show. It's a spectacle. Shevchenko's fighting style is like, ooh, not the most entertaining. But she got the win. I was in and out of that fight, actually. I normally watch the fights at home, which is where you guys normally see my reactions. But yesterday, for the cards that I'm not as hyped for, I normally go to a pub, which is where I was at yesterday. And so I was kind of in and out of this co-main event. And what I was seeing, I actually thought that Fiora was doing a really good job. So when I saw that Valentina won, I figured she was doing her kind of dominant on the ground, but not getting a finish style, you know? Now, again, kind of in a weird spot, because with Valentina winning, the general consensus afterwards was going to be that Weili would move up and get a chance at that upper weight class. But now we've got Natalya Silva there as well, which I don't know who else there is for Weili at... Oh, actually, no. Vienna? Rob Schneider? There's a fight for Weili there now, actually. So maybe we can put that on pause. Wow, I did not even think of that. So Weili does actually have a fight at strawweight and then give Valentina Natalya Silva. Oh, yeah, I like that. Let's put a pause on Weili Valentina. Because for me, if there are still matchups in your weight class, there's no need to be moving around. Okay? I understand when there's matchups that maybe are uneven or people don't agree with, but like Natalya Silva and Valentina Shevchenko is a very, very fair matchup. And then Zhang Weili and Vienna, guys, I'm sorry. There's a matchup there as well. So yeah, we want to see that, right? And then we go into the main event, JDM versus Balal. Woo! Again, I was going into this nervous because JDM had taken his time off, and coming off of forearm breakage, that is horrifying. And then have that get infected, that is terrifying. And he was supposed to be fighting Leon Edwards, which, I'm not going to lie, is a lot less intimidating than Belal Muhammad. Now, you might say, Belal Muhammad intimidate. Like, guys, again, he's got a strong, dominant style that has worked for him in the past. He was on a very good win streak against very good people, okay? So we have to give Belal his flowers that he did not receive yesterday. Okay? So he also hadn't fought since March, which time off will always make me nervous. And going up against a guy like Balal, that's very, very scary stuff. But he got the job done. He had a good game plan. At the start, the first few rounds, I would have liked to have seen JDM put the forward pressure on a little bit more. But again, he got the job done. Balal had nothing to say for JDM's game plan. He wasn't able to do what he normally does. You know, the attempted takedowns and those Canelo hands. That didn't really work out in his favor. So in a way, I just can't help but think, thank you, Shavkat, for getting injured, because now Australia has another belt. You know, if it weren't for Shavkat getting injured, it would have been Shavkat Balal. And, you know, maybe if JDM's next title shot, we would have gotten one anyway. But it all does stem, like that kind of butterfly effect of Shavkat getting injured, so he couldn't fight JDM. So Shavkat gets a title shot. Balal gets injured. So Shavkat fights Ian Gary. Shavkat wins, gets a title shot. Wait, am I getting the order of this wrong? Anyway, lots of injuries, postponedness, fighters moving around, that now it's resulted us in getting a belt. So I'm very happy regardless. During the post-fight cage interview, JDM said that he would like to avenge Islam for Volk, which I love, especially if that's going to be in Perth in September. Exciting stuff. Don't love the Perth travel, but it's going to be worth it. Really, really dislike traveling to Perth. Ugh. In terms of Balal from here, give Balal a Brady or an Ian Gary or even, I don't know, that's a weird one. Maybe give Balal like a Carlos Prates or something and let Ian Gary and Sean Brady fight each other. Either way, JDM is going to get an Islam or a Shavkat next, I guess. That's another conversation, which this fight had so much riding off of it. Dana wasn't even seen at the post-fight press conference. He was there, wrapped the belts around him, but was a no-show at the post-fight presser. So there's no doubt that him and the matchmakers went to do some serious business after those fights and are planning whatever is going to be announced for International Fight Week, which I'm hoping will happen Tuesday. I'm going to International Fight Week, so I want it to be a good one. But on paper, if it's Ilya Oliveira, not really into it. You guys know I'm a very big preacher for Ilya Islam. It's just a bit weird, right? Because to think that if Balal had won, we would be getting it is insane. So to know that both guys are ready, but we're just not going to get it, is like a slap in the face. And I said it on my Instagram, but hear me out here. JDM was the first guy to call out Shavkat Rakhmonov. JDM's going to be out for a while because that was a hell of a scrap. Shavkat's going to be out for a while because he's just had surgery on his hand. Let them fight each other. I don't like moving weight classes when there are matchups to be made within your own. Islam. Both Ilya and Islam have known about this for so long. And it was riding off of this. And it hasn't gone Islam's way. It hasn't gone Islam's way in that his friends lost and now he's moving up. But again, he's not even vacating the title, which was a very big discussion when Ilya vacated his. Because he said that he didn't want to stay in his weight class anymore because he couldn't make the weight cut, which is fair. But my knowledge is that the UFC don't want people being double champs anymore. And I'm pretty sure Diego Lopez confirmed that as well. But I have knowledge of that too. Okay? Because it holds up one division, and the only person to successfully go back and forth between two weight classes is Amanda Nunes. So it makes sense that they don't want that to be the case. But how come Islam is now talking about not vacating his lightweight title, but he'll move up to fight JDM at welterweight? Ilya's not really had this go in his way because, one, he vacated his title, which again, he said it was for weight, but, you know. And he wanted that Islam fight that's not happening. And now people are saying he's going to fight Charles, which, to me, if anything, it should actually be Arman. But we know that the UFC aren't going to give him such a big fight. like aren't going to give Arman such a big fight. There's just like the potential for so much and it's not happening. It's very annoying. What else do we have? Yeah, I guess when it comes to the whole vacating for your weight class thing, it could be the case that, you know, not all rules apply to everyone. Some people argue that Ilya has not defended his belt enough times, but when you beat Volk in the way that you did and then knock out Max Holloway, for me, I've said before, I'm not really interested in seeing Ilya fight Movsar, you know? Now, Diego's not in that conversation either. I was just saying before that if there's fights to happen in your weight class, then you should stay there. I think it made sense for Ilya to move up because of the matchups that were available in featherweight didn't make sense. Is that bias? I don't know. Regardless of it, I'm just saying that I'd be really annoyed if I was Ilya because he's done these things and was promised these things, which I do believe, and they've fallen through. Because he also said that he'd only want to fight for a belt, which if Islam isn't vacating, that's not going to go in his favor either. That could be a UFC decision. And we'll see how firm they are on sticking to that if they make Islam vacate or maybe make it an interim or something. I'm not sure. We've seen how interim belts go recently. Anyway, to wrap it all up, what have I got? If Ilya and Charles does happen at International Fight Week, again, I'll be there. So whatever the result is, I'll be very excited and hyped either way. There'll be lots of videos coming your way. And I would also be at whatever fight ends up happening in Perth, be that JDM versus Islam, Volk, Movsar. It seems like I've got exciting things coming because I'm going to go to whatever fights happen in China as well with the result of Road to UFC. Because I believe... Oh, I don't know if I'm allowed to announce that. I will keep my mouth closed. Respect to any fighter that wants to fight in Australia because those pay cuts are brutal. Tax withholdings I'm talking about. And if Islam does that again, that's rough. Give him a bigger paycheck. It really frustrates me that Australia does that, to be honest. Anyway, that'll wrap up my little recap of UFC 315. If anyone has questions for JDM's coach, Ben Vickers, I'm probably going to try and interview him the next time I'm working at Eternal. So if you have any questions for Jack Taylor's coach, the lead up to this fight, what we want next for him, leave those in the comments below. I'm going to see them just before International Fight Week, so it's probably a good time to get some questions in there. Also, this guy has a fight announced, RDR. It's a scary one. I'm going to try to get an interview with him too, so maybe leave some comments there as well. I'll keep you updated about that. I don't really know where I'm going with this whole YouTube thing. We'll figure it out. But if I do do these interviews, these will definitely be on my YouTube channel. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to me yap. I love and appreciate you guys so much. Yeah, I will see you in the next one. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Follow me here on IG, on TikTok, all the good stuff. Love ya.